Fantasy basketball owners, I'm Michael Pichan. This is Tamer, Chamma of RotoExperts.com. We're here to give you your must-have sleepers and busts at the power forward position. Tamer, who are two players that you're hoping to possibly get in a draft, like one or the other, obviously, but who are two people you're targeting?
Two guys that I'm targeting in my drafts, guys that you really want to have. The first guy is Amari Stoudemire. I think he's set up for really big things this year. His injury history is a little bit in the past now, especially the knee injury. He looks to be healthy going into the season. And now that he's on the Knicks, I think he's definitely the focal point offensively for this team. That means that he could easily average on the low end 25 points. He could go up as high as 28 or 29 points a game. He's really going to be that important to the Knick offensive attack. Also, his rebounds should go up a tick, just given the fact that there aren't that many rebounders on the Knicks roster at this point, so he could even get close to double figures in that category. The one concern among fantasy owners is his field goal percentage, not playing with Steve Nash, but I think he's such a good finisher and so good around the rim that he's still going to be a guy that averages in the low 50 percentile, like 51, 52%. So that's definitely good enough for Amari, considering the other improvements in his stats. Another guy that I would be looking at in your drafts would be Al Jefferson. I think he's set up for a very big year. He struggled last year coming back from major knee surgery in 2008, 2009. He's 1 year fully removed from that, and in past history, when a player is a full year removed from a major injury, that's usually when you see the big bounce back, and I think that's going to occur for Al Jefferson. He should get back to being a 2010 guy, and I also think the big improvement is going to be in his field goal percentage. He's always been a high 40s, low 50% guy. I think he's ready to jump into the mid 50s, due due mainly to the fact that Darren Williams is his point guard now. He's arguably the best point guard, the best passing point guard in the NBA, and I think it's going to help his fantasy value a lot. So look for his field goal percentage to go up. He's really going to be a good player for you this year, and he's undervalued a little bit at this point as well.
Yeah, Jefferson playing on a better team in Utah will definitely help his value. And with Amari Stoudemire, I seen him on Wednesday score 30 points against Boston. So this is a player that's going into a system in D'Antoni's that he's used to. You'll see not only his scoring possibility improve, but his rebounding, because the players on the Knicks outside of Gallinari don't shoot as well as the players on the Phoenix Suns, like Jason Richardson or Steve Nash, Grant Hill, and those guys. So the rebounding stats for Amari Stoudemire should also go up as well. One guy though that I'm really targeting is Paul Gasol, and this is a guy that's playing with a lot of confidence. He's also in a triangle offense that he's now really familiar with, comfortable with, and with the injury concerns with Kobe, you're going to have to look for Paul Gasol to continue to carry the load, and I think that's something that he's willing and able and ready to do. And I think that's one of the knocks that was on him prior to this year, was he able and willing to carry the load if Kobe went out, and I think he is. And also another knock on a lot of international players is the toughness, and I think Gasol's proving that he can be a tough player down on the blocks. So I look for him to average 20 plus points this year with 3 to 4 assists a game and just be the man in the Lakers offense this year. And another guy that is a great grab for fantasy owners is Josh Smith. We all saw last year how he can fill the stat sheet. I mean, it's hard pressed to find somebody that's going to average 2 blocks and 2 steals a game. And I also think that Josh Smith's rebounding will go up because he's on a team in the Atlanta Hawks that likes to shoot the ball a lot, especially from the outside. Do you like Josh Smith and Paul Gasol as well?
I do, especially Pau Gasol. I think he's set up to have a career year, and he's definitely the best power forward, or one of at least one of the top 2 or 3 power forwards that you're going to get at the position. Moving over to the sleepers, Mike, I'll give you my first 2 my 2 sleepers, and we'll move into yours. My first sleeper is a guy that was really hot going into the 2009-2010 season, and that's Blake Griffin. Now going a little bit under the radar because of the injury last year, the knee injury that allowed him to miss his entire rookie season. And now with a new class of rookies out there, specifically John Wall, he's really going under the radar, but you don't want to forget about Blake Griffin. He's set up to stay healthy. He's a young guy. He should be able to bounce back from the knee injury that kept him out last year. And given that he is able to stay healthy, he should be a guy that averages a double-double with a high field goal percentage. The Clippers are obviously committed to him, given the fact that they drafted him number 1 overall last year. So he's really set up for success this upcoming season. The second guy I would take a look at is a little bit more of a risk. He's been a guy that's not really fulfilled his potential so far in his career, and that's Tyrus Thomas. But he's moving from Chicago to the Bobcats, and the Bobcats really have major front court issues. They don't have a lot of size, they don't have a lot of talented players in their front court. So Tyrus Thomas should get the minutes. And just going by his averages in his career, if he's able to get 30 to 35 minutes a night, he's a guy that can easily average anywhere from 13 to 15 points, 8 to 10 rebounds. He can also be a guy that gives you 2 blocks and 1 steal a game. Really tremendous numbers for where you can get him in your drafts right now, which is right in the middle of your drafts. He really could be a huge upside guy for you. There is a little risk with him, but the situation is set up perfectly for him to succeed.
Yeah, I think that's a good environment for Tyree Thomas to go to. I think Steven Jackson and Joe Wallace will help build his confidence. And with Blake Griffin, you mentioned him being a rookie. A lot of times fantasy owners want to get that rookie, but we're not collecting fantasy basketball cards here. You want to get the guy that's going to perform. And so a lot of owners are forgetting about Blake Griffin because he's not a rookie, you know, as far as, playing. He is a rookie, but
Not a true rookie.
true
Yeah,
rookie,
right.
right. So as somebody that can perform, he's a high energy guy whose stock has fallen because he's not that true rookie. Two guys that I'm looking at though, and one of them is Jeff Green. He's often kind of ignored because Durant gets all the attention, and it's somebody that started to perform even better after the All-Star break. He actually averaged 16 points a game. He even upped his three-pointers to almost 2 3-pointers a game, and plays defense. He had 1.6 steals a game. So this is somebody that, as teams continue to focus on Durant, will have to count on Green, and he's showing, especially after the All-Star break, that he's willing to take on that role and be that strong number 2 option on that team. And another guy that made a good performance last year in limited time was Andre Blatch. And he was a guy that had 14 points and 6 boards. He's coming off a broken foot, so a lot of people are kind of sleeping on him, and that's what you want. But he too, like Tyrus Thomas, is somebody that can be somewhat of a head case, and we know all the problems that are going on in Washington. If he can put it together, he definitely has the potential to have a breakout year this year, and that's Andre Blatch. But Tamer, there's always those guys that we want to stay away from in fantasy basketball, and who are two of the guys that you think will have very poor or even be busts this year?
I would say the first guy that definitely is going to be a bust, and I would avoid in all drafts, is Kevin Garnett. He's going early in the 5th round right now, and I think that's just way too high for Garnett. You know, we all love Garnett. We love what he's done over his NBA career, but he's getting really up there in age at this point. He's played well over 1,000 games, and he obviously has knee issues. He was able to make it through last season and through the playoffs relatively unscathed, but I think this is the year it really kind of all comes down on Garnett. I would see him missing significant time due to his knee problems or just being unproductive given limited minutes or just the fact that he's dealing with old age and with those knees. So given where he's getting drafted right now, I really would just avoid him in all drafts. The second guy that I would take a look at as a bust is David Lee. I think Lee is still going to be productive, and it's still a guy that you want to draft, but where he's getting drafted right now, I think is way too high, and that's early in the 2nd round. You have to look at what Lee did last year and what type of situation he was in. It was a perfect situation for him. He was the best player on the Knicks. He was in an up-tempo system. He had the right coach in D'Antoni for that. And now he's going to a Golden State Warrior team that has a guard-oriented offense with Monta Ellis, with Stephen Curry. Even you want to throw Reggie Williams in there. He's not going to get the same offensive opportunities. And you also look at the coach as well, wants to play a more structured style, a more half-court style, and that doesn't fit David Lee's skill set. He's not a great post-up player. He's a guy that needs to get out into the open court, finish around the basket, get rebounds off of fast break misses, and also, now has the ability to hit a jumper, but he's not a guy that plays very well in the half court. Also, you look at Biedrins, there's just, a lot of different flags here. Biedrins is a guy that if he is able to stay healthy at the center position, he can take away some boards from Lee. So there's a lot of red flags with Lee. I would really avoid him in all drafts unless, he slips towards the end of the 3rd round, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I am actually pretty high on David Lee, and I think it's somebody that's going into a similar offense that he had with New York. And one of the things, though, you mentioned is that he's not a low post player, but I think Keith Smart is going to use him more in the pick and roll. So maybe David Lee will have a slow start and allowing you to maybe trade for him early. Like you said, he's going in the 3rd round, but I think he's set up to have another double-double season. They don't shoot as well, but they do shoot a lot in Golden State. And if they can get that pick and roll working, that would be a good system for him. But like you said, if he's going to be a focal point down low, that's not what you want as a David Lee owner.
Mhm.
But I definitely agree with Kevin Garnett as a bust. And he's not a bust as a player, but as a fantasy player, he doesn't fill the stat sheet as well as he used to, or as well as some of the other options out there. And he's missed on an average of 19 games the last 2 seasons. So, like you say, he's getting long in the tooth, and as the season goes on, he becomes an injury concern. And another guy that I think is a total bust, and I think he's the fourth highest paid player in the NBA, is Rashard Lewis. He's just too inconsistent and too one-dimensional for me. He relies on the three-pointer too much, and I would totally stay away from Rashard Lewis and Kevin Garnett, like you said. Well, I'm Michael Pichan. This is Tamer Chamma. We're from RotoExperts.com. Make sure you check us out. Get your pre-draft rankings as well as in-season updates and analysis at RotoExperts.com, and follow us on Twitter at RotoExperts.